Hello and welcome. This is Japan, and I'm doing a little bit of a series here every once in a while. I'm a big Marky D123 uh watcher. He does a lot of like the old school wrestling runs of like somebody who's in a new company or like a stopover or maybe even just debuting for the first time in a company and then changing companies where he does like under 30 match run. And I kind of wanted to do that, but like with some people that like necessarily just kind of like started off somewhere or stopped over somewhere, but kind of more modern because that's what I'm more inclined to see of a wrestler. So I thought it'd be kind of interesting. I did do something similar like this when we watched Saray's entire WWE run. That was much bigger than like 30 matches. I'm trying to remember if it was or not. I actually don't know off the top of my head, but it was completely different there. So we're going here to see a lot. This is like a lot of different stuff here because I was like thinking, well, I was gonna do just matches on TV, but this person only had a couple, so I decided to expand it a little bit to a few house shows, mainly just try to pad the numbers a little bit because if you just do singles matches, it's it's only five. It is only five matches, so it's absolutely insane. But the moment of truth, who are you talking about? Once billed as the like women or like I don't like to say female, so like female Rey Mysterio, but I don't know if that's a really good thing to give somebody right off the bat because I think you're pretty destined to fail after this. But we're going to be talking about La Cantina. That's what she currently goes by. She had like seven names in WWE. I'm already going to say that's going to be way too of a bad thing to have. She had Carolina. She had. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. It was so hard to find stuff. It was like Catalina, Garcia. Let's see, what's the other one say? Carolina was her main one when she started, and it is insane run, to say the least. So let's jump into it, and I'm gonna stop babbling because I always script that very first part. So first match right off the bat is a tag match. Like I said, normally we're gonna do singles matches, but this is her debut, so I figured it's the best way of doing it. It's a mixed tag match with her and Sin Cara versus Eldrade and Zelina Vega on Raw. So like right off the bat, straight to the main roster. She had a couple house show showings, but that's about it for this first year. This was 2019, and right off the bat, that's an amazing start. She kind of go as the mask gimmick, match luchador. Right off the bat, I think like her clothes just did not work for her. Like that's kind of a consistent thing, but this in particular really looked bad with the shorts and just it just was not the good a good call here. The match itself actually wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen. Sin Cara did some decent stuff. I only watched and cared about what our girl was doing, but she had a few kind of more powery moves with going against the smaller Zelina Vega. So I personally I would put this down in the D tier. I also got to make sure I got to put an F tier on here because we need a very bottom of all this. So let's do that. Not too like foreshadowing for later, but it is a little bit of foreshadowing for later. So that's not a bad start. I mean, it was her main roster debut, and like it seemed like the sky's the limit. And if you're kind of like looking at the bottom of the screen, you're like, oh my god, she faces Bianca Belair next. This person's great. Well, unfortunately, it was kind of downhill after this. This was in 2019, right on the main roster. It looked great. It was in pretty much late 2019, and then after this match, Sin Cara got released. They kind of just dropped her as that Caroline gimmick, kind of rebranded her as Cantina again. Still gave her the mask, gave her a little bit of a different look, and they threw her on main event. Again, not the worst thing when you think about it, like a lot of people do it. It was 4 months later, so that part wasn't ideal. I will say she did also get in a couple like battle royals and stuff like that, but we're not talking about that. But yeah, right before that, actually, we'll have to go. It's the Io Sky match. I wanted to include this. This was on an NXT live show, but this match was at least it was fairly filmed well, so I could see the match. That definitely helped to include it. But also, it's Io Sky, so I think Io does elevate people around her, and I really do think that like if she got a little bit more offense in there, it could have really been something. But I still think it was a solid D. Obviously, Io was kind of just destroying her. I think with a lot of her look with Cantina, she just had a lot of stuff that like worked with the power moves, and then she just was trying to push the being a little bit of a jump, high fly type thing, and it just really didn't work. So until she got rid of that, it just ended up kind of being a little off. So let me flip this around. I don't know why the order got out of order, but it did. So she went from there, a bunch of different house shows. Marina Shafir, she faced a couple big like 6-man tags, another battle royale, which was televised, but her part was so small that they didn't even show it on the thing that I saw in the replay. So I even if I wanted to include the battle royale, it would not have worked. But then we get to main event. It's like, okay, well, she's not gotten a big shake on NXT, but maybe they're gonna do stuff. Her next two matches against two probably future Hall of Famers with Asuka and Bianca Belair. We'll start with the Asuka match. Obviously, Asuka at this point was just outside of Money in the Bank because this was 2020 and kind of like where she was going to get an extra big rocket boost. So this was kind of just a stepping stone. She looked pretty decent in it. I want to say with Cantina, this is probably at this point was her best match. I think she has a lot of chemistry with Asuka. It was a solid 7-minute match, and she had a decent amount of offense where like you probably didn't think she was going to win, but it didn't look bad. So I'm gonna put this in C. I think it definitely squeaked on there like a C minus, but I think it definitely deserved to still be in that spot. Then we go next up, which Bianca Belair, again, another main event type show. So, like, I guess we're including it. It's like the B, C, D show. I don't even know what you want to call it. It is, not the greatest, but like I said, if we just go for TV matches, this video would have been a short. So let's talk about this one. Bianca Belair it was just a squash. Bianca just completely destroyed her. She had almost no offense. It was just kind of just fed to the wolves, and I'll put her in F tier. Then we finish out the year. We finish out 2020 and we go to 2021, her last year in the WWE, and it starts off with a 1-minute squash match on New Year's Evil, the first NXT show of the year against Xia Li. I mean, there was nothing here. I don't even think she got a punch in. Xia Li just completely destroyed her. Made Xia Li look good. I thought for a squash match, Xia Li looked pretty decent. I would have probably gave her a little bit better, but now at this point, La Cantina was going as Catalina Cortez. Good third name change already in this run is always going to be bad. They kept kind of also like not knowing what to do to take off her mask, put her mask back on. Like she had just all over the place. I do think I liked her look when she was wearing not having the mask on. I think the mask like kind of messed with some of her field of vision and some of the stuff that I've seen even in the future with her. I think it's just way better that she doesn't have the mask on. So I think if they would have kept that, I think that we could have maybe seen a little bit better run, but there was not a lot saved in this one. So next up, we had nearly 8 months after that. After a 1-minute squash, 8 months later, they put her on 205 Live, which feels like that was below main event, where she faced Valentina, and Valentina beat her. Now, this match, I want to say a lot about it, but I also don't want to say too much about it. If you're wanting to watch the worst match that you've ever seen, this is it. I really wanted to salvage something, but there was so many botches on this. They could not nail down the finish. It was mainly Valentina's fault, but Cantina did not help. She could not get any type of offense at the end because it was just all being botched. They tried to redo it, and it was so bad she almost knocked her own mask off. It was a very struggle. I was like, this is 5 minutes, man. This is sad. I just really felt bad for everybody included here. So I'm gonna have to put this in like the mega F category. Like that is probably one of the worst matches I've ever seen on a WWE programming. Maybe ever, to be honest. I really don't know because even this next one is against BFAB. This was also just a minute 19, but it still felt a little bit better. Like obviously she did not have much offense. BFAB just went out there and kind of just beat her up, which at the time I don't even think BFAB was like that big of a person, so it kind of felt like why would you waste a squash match here? Like you could have at least made it like I always feel like 5 minutes. Give the person 5 minutes, and but I guess like if we the match before you didn't want to, I'm also put this in F tier. Then we get to a. She only had one more. Technically two more matches after this. There was a tag match. I ended up watching the tag match. I'm not gonna rate it here because we were trying to do singles as much as possible. It was also really bad. It would have also been an F tier, so it wouldn't have really helped anything. And then we get a Saray match, which I've actually had seen this because I had watched it on the Saray video. She had a little bit better offense. It wasn't the worst Finn I've ever seen. Saray obviously I think dominated most of it and one of Saray's better matches, but just for Cantina, I would put this in a B just because I like the people in here. And this is kind of a crazy thing when you look at this because like me personally, some of my favorite wrestlers are in this run. I love Bianca Belair. Io Sky is probably my favorite of all time. Obviously, Saray is just amazing, or Saray, you know, in real now. And Asuka's always been one of my tops, no matter what. So it's crazy that like you have a repertoire or like a list of this in such a short time, and the run didn't really work. I'm going to have to put it in F. I just feel like even the stuff that was decent, I felt like it was the other people elevating it, and it just really didn't work. I think there was just so much stuff. They billed her as the first Chilean wrestler, and everything that Stephanie Vicor has done is just kind of blown that out of the water. So much so that I don't even think they try to like claim that anymore. Like it's just like, oh, we're gonna have to erase everything about this run so we can make Stephanie looks like she's getting the number one thing. And I think it really would have worked out because if you look at La Cantina now, she's a really good wrestler. If you want to watch her match against Mercedes Moné, is the best one I would recommend because that was my palate cleanser. I watched all this and then I, you know, wrote down my notes to a certain extent, and then I just was like, let me go watch a good match. So I looked at her top rated match, and against Mercedes Moné is her highest rated one. It's rated 7 out of 10 on Cage Match. I would honestly put it in a solid B plus area. I think her part of things are pretty good. I think her chemistry with La Cantina is just not there. I know also La Cantina has a Stephanie Vicor match, so maybe if you guys want, I could do like a best of thing. Maybe watch like her top 10 matches and rate them or something. If you guys cared about my analyzation or anything, and tell me if there's anything to improve in these videos. I was gonna try to put clips on it, but I know a lot of them get claimed, so I figured the best case scenario was to kind of keep it like this and kind of see. I did that with my Suri video, and it seemed like people kind of like that, so we're gonna kind of go with that flow until, you know, otherwise. But until next time, this has been Japan. Bye, guys.